Yasodhanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yes. Yamuna Tira Vanacharya. Yamuna Tira Vanacharya. Jaira Madhava Kundabiya Hari Jaya. Jaira Madhava Kundabiya Hari Jaya. Gopi Jana Bala Grivaraja Hari Jaya. Gopi Janagala Bhagavad-Gita Hari Jai. Yasoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yasoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Prabhu Pada, Jaya Prabhu Pada, Prabhu Pada, Jaya Prabhu Pada, Jaya Prabhu Pada, Jaya Prabhu Pada, Prabhu Pada, Jaya Prabhu Pada. Nitako Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo. Nitako Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo. Jaya Pushpa Paramahansa Parivraja Kacharya Stotra Sata Sishimati. His Divine Grace, His Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jaya Om Vishnu Paramahansa Parivraja Kacharya Stotra Sata Sishimati. His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Kochi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. प्रेम से कहा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौ भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर धाम की द्वारका धाम की जगन्नाथ धाम की Ganga Maya Manamaya Ke, Tasidevi Bhakti Devi Ke, Sishinitaya Guru Chanda Ke, Sisi Krishna Balaram Ke, Sisi Radha Shyamasundar Ke, Nitaya Gopi Manande. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glories to thee. Let us feet of Sisi Guru Gauranga. Gurave Gurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Ta Bhaktayo Namo Namaha Jnana Timenda Saganangana Salakaya Chaksusimilitanye Natasma Si Gurave Namaha Si Chitaya Mano Bhistam Stapita Yena Bhutale Sayurupa Kadama Yandadati Swampadanti Kang Vandeham Si Guru Sita Parakamala Si Guru Vaishnavascha Se Rupam Sakajatan Sahagana Raghunatha Vitanta Sajivan Sadvaitan Savadutan Parijana Saitan Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devan Sri Radha Krishna Padasahakana Laita Sri Visakha Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandha Jagapati Gopisa Gopika Kantu Radha Kantu Namastate Tata Kanchana Gorangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vesabana Sutadevi Panamami Hari Piye Krishna Yabasudevaya Devaki Nandana Yacha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Nama Vasudevam Sutandevam Kansachandra Mahadana Devaki Paramananda Krishna Banda Jagaguru Namamo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pista Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nevise Sasunya Badi Pishacha Disatarine Vanchakapaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhyabevacha Patitanam Pavanabhebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna. So I thank everyone for being here this evening and also those who are watching from the Vrindavan TV. So we are continuing the Bhagavad-Gita, Hare Krishna, chapter 2, text 39, contents of the Gita summarized. And also this chapter is also titled Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is the chapter title because it's Krishna's explaining the analytical difference between material elements and spiritual being. The spirit, in the sense that the spirit soul being different from the material body. So because right from the onset, Lord Krishna um, telling Arjuna that what is lamenting for is so much concern that he's going to kill his family members, grandfather, friends, cousins. So Lord Krishna telling Arjuna that you are simply concerned yourself with what is temporary, whereas the real self, the real identity, is eternal being. It's not subject to birth or death. So why are you lamenting? So this is the continuation of the verse which we're in today. So today is text 39, and this verse has a very long purport. Yes, a very long purport. Yeah, 2.5 pages. That's very nice because La Prabhupada is very detailed in his explanation.
We can read one by one.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm used to it. So we read the text. Esate bita sanke yoga tu iman srinon bodhya yukto yaya pata kama bandham prahasyasi. Esate bita sanke bodhi yoga tu iman srinon bodhya yukto yaya pata kama bandham prahasyasi. Esate bita sanke bodhi yoga tu iman srinon bodhya yukto yaya pata karma bandham prahasyasi. Esate bita sanke bodhi yoga tu iman srinon
बुद्धया युक्तो यया पार्थ कर्मबन्धं प्रहास्यते कर्मबन्धं प्रहास्यते एषा ते गीता साङ्ख्ये
Esate bita sanke
बुद्धिर्योगे मां शृणु
bodhi yoga tu iman srinon
बुद्धया युक्तो यया पार्थ
bodhi yukto yaya pata
कर्मबन्धं प्रहास्यते कर्मबन्धं प्रहास्यते
Esate bita sanke bodhi yoga tu iman srinon bodhi yukto yaya pata kama bandham prahasyasi. Esa, all this, te, unto you, Abhita, described Sankhya by analytical study, Buddhi, intelligence, Yogi, in work without fruitive results. 2. But, Imam, this, Srino, just here, Buddhya, by intelligence, Yukta, dovetailed, Yaya, by which Partha, O son of Pritha, Karma Bandham, bondage of reaction, Prahasyasi, you can be released from. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from all the bondage of works. Purport. According to the Nirukti or the Vedic dictionary, Sankhya means that which describes things in detail, and Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul, and yoga involves controlling the senses. Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification. Forgetting his prime duty, he wanted to cease fighting because he thought that by not killing his relatives and kinsmen, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins and brothers, the sons of Dhritarashtra. In both ways, the basic principles were for sense gratification. Happiness derived from conquering them, and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive are both on the basis of personal sense gratification, even at a sacrifice of wisdom and duty. Krishna therefore wanted to explain to Arjuna that by killing the body of his grandfather, he would not be killing the soul proper, and he explained that all individual persons, including the Lord himself, are eternal individuals. They were individuals in the past, they are individuals in the present, and they will continue to remain individuals in the future because all of us are individual souls eternally, just like in the chapter 15, Lord Krishna says, Mamaivaso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So Lord Krishna says, Jiva, they are eternal. Sanatana means eternal, they're not temporary. And Mamaivaso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. That, of course, Krishna says all living entities, they are my parts and parcels. So which means all the um, miseries that a living entity is experiencing this material, well, actually both happiness and distress that the living entity is experiencing in this material world, it's all based on bodily identification, which has nothing to do with the soul proper. So this analytical aspect of the reality, it's called Sankhya Yoga, by which the Lord has been explaining. So now this verse is saying that yes, now I'm going to teach you what we call niskam karma, which means walking without attachment, which is the essence of yoga. Niskam karma means to walk without attachment to the result of the work. So this is the beginning. From this verse on to the end of this chapter. So Lord Krishna is going to be explaining this yoga process of niskam karma, how a living entity should work, but without the attachment to it. And of course, this chapter itself, it's all it's summary of the whole Bhagavad-Gita, because after the summary conversation, then from the chapter 3 on, then we're going to be having the in-depth explanation of the Bhagavad-Gita itself. So, continue with the purpose purport. He said, we simply change our bodily dress in different manners, but actually, we keep our individuality even after liberation from the bondage of material dress. An analytical study of the soul and the body has been very graphically explained by Lord Krishna. And this descriptive knowledge of the soul and the body from different angles of vision has been described here as Sankhya in terms of the Nirukti dictionary. Actually, Nirukti means dictionary. This Sankhya has nothing to do with the Sankhya philosophy of the atheist Kapila. Long before the impostor Kapila's Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expanded in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord Kapila, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explained it to his mother Devahuti. It is clearly explained by him that the Purusha or the Supreme Lord is active and that he creates by looking over the Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. The description in the Vedas indicates that the Lord glanced over the Prakriti or nature and impregnated it with atomic individual souls. All these individuals are working in the material world for sense gratification, and under the spell of material energy, they are thinking of being enjoyers. This mentality is dragged to the last point of liberation when the living entity wants to become one with the Lord. This is the last snare of Maya, or sense gratificatory illusion. And it is only after many births of such sense gratificatory activities that a great soul surrenders unto Vasudev, Lord Krishna, thereby fulfilling the search after the ultimate truth. So in Bhagavatam, third canto, from chapter 24 till 32, so the teachings of Lord Kapil is there. Lord Kapil, who was instructing his mother Devotee, the whole science of Sankhya was all detailed, which means the analytical understanding of material nature, of material elements, the analytical, and then it paves the way that by understanding the material nature, material elements, that the material elements, they function only due to the contact of the spirits, due to the contact of the Jiva Shakti. Just like we may have electronic items. So electronic item may be there, but unless it's plugged into the electricity, so it's not going to work. It's just be dead element. That's all. So this material nature is like that. So which means all the various transformations that we are seeing in this material world is all because of the contact with the energy, the Jiva Shakti. For example, we are saying that somebody is born, then a child, then become Kumara, Yamana, Jara, like Krishna said. So the soul is, so the body is changing constantly before us. So that changing is going on because there is a presence of the soul in the body. And the moment the soul leaves the body, then the body becomes a dead matter. So when the same body that everyone have affection for, so much affection for the body, or that somebody is saying, my child, another person is saying, my friend, or my lover, or my this, my this, my that. So everyone, so much, happiness is there when you're interacting with another person. But the moment the soul leaves the body drops dead. And you cannot even wait to get rid of that body. That's the reality. Here in India, somebody die. If you die in the morning, by the evening time, they want to burn the body because nobody want to, you know, live with a dead body because dead body is useless because once the soul leave the body start rotting. So how are you going to stay with the rotten body? The body start rotting. You know, just like the story of a beautiful princess. So a beautiful princess was uh, was approached by a man that, oh, I'm very, very much attracted to you. I like to have a relationship with you. I like to, be with you. So the princess is actually a very, very intelligent person, very, very a self-aware person. So the princess told the man, okay, you come back uh, after 7 days, and then I can execute your proposal. That okay, you want to have a relationship with me, very, very beautiful, attractive lady. So this man went away. He said, okay, I will come back in 7 days. And then the princess, she started taking purgative. So she was taking purgative that then this purgative she was taking, she was like, she wasn't eating, just taking purgative and everything, all the kinds of liquid coming out of her body. And what she did was that she was keeping all those uh, stuff that's coming out of her body, all those vomiting, all those elements. She was keeping them in the pot, separate pots, keeping them in the pot. And then she was doing this. And then by the 7th day, she became non-recognizable. You cannot recognize her anymore because she had become skeleton.
Ugly.
Yes, become like a complete skeleton. Now they cannot recognize anymore. Completely, like everything is gone. So when this man came back after 7 days and knocked on the door, and he was met by this skeleton figure. So this man asked that he has come for that princess, that beautiful princess that he saw 7 days ago. Where is she? So the same princess who has not become skeleton told him that I am the same skeleton, but that beauty that you are attracted to, let me show you let me show you the beauty. And then she directed him to the room where she was keeping the pots, where all the blood, pus, and everything was completely, smelling like anything. So when this man, when he just by opening the door, he could not even all about he was made with a big smell and he could not even bear it. So he ran away. He ran away. Because that's the reality of material body. Material body is just a composition of blood, pus, and mucus, and this is what it is. Yeah. But the way it's put together, we say, oh, this is wonderful. This is wonderful the way it's put together. That is illusion. Because the living entity is covered by Maya, by illusion, thinking that, oh, this material world is wonderful. Whereas the reality is the soul. The reality is actually the soul that is dwelling within the material body. Mm. So if one can understand this element, this elemental study of material nature, this is what we call Sankhya Yoga, an analytical study. And then by understanding this will prepare one to want to inquire about reality, to want to make inquiry. So Lakapila is explaining this about the difference of material nature and how ultimately a person can come to devotional service of the Lord, which is the eternal reality, eternal occupation of the living entity by which a person can actually obtain the real body. Because we have the material body, but there is also the spiritual body. Material body is temporary, always giving problems, and also full of ignorance. But the spiritual body is eternal, full of happiness, full of bliss, full of knowledge, no sickness, you know. But as long as one is in this material world, then so that spiritual body, a form of a living entity, is covered. It's covered in the material world until one when one attain liberation, then one can obtain one actual sorrow. Was that Swarupena Vivastity, as explained, Itantaruban Swarupena Vivastity, with the attainment of one Swarup, one's original form. But as long as we're here, the process of realizing this, now the Lord is going to be explaining that even though the cause of our bondage in this material world is because we are engaging in Mayic activities, Mayic affairs, engaging in different activities for sense enjoyment, and that is giving us the bondage. Now, the Lord is going to be explaining now how do we engage in the process by which we can come to know our spiritual nature. So the Lord is saying that one has to start, instead of one has to give up material work. Material activities cannot be given up. The Lord said, oh, you cannot give up material work, but your work has to be performed with the spirit of detachment. Work has to be done with the spirit of detachment. Then, of course, there has to be the goal of that work. The goal of that work is to satisfy Krishna. So, like Prabhupada is explaining at the beginning of this purport, that the Prabhupada is saying that both attachment and aversion, they are the same thing in intimate. As long as one is in the material consciousness, both attachment and aversion is the same thing. For example, Arjun is thinking that by not killing my kinsman, and if you attain this kingdom, then you'll be able to enjoy the kingdom with the family members, with the relatives. Whereas if everyone is killed, what's the point of having a big kingdom and then you are just by yourself? You are just alone. So it's not fun that you're in a big house, huge mansion, and just by yourself. That is not fun. You actually you become crazy. Yeah, you become crazy. You're in a big mansion by yourself, and you're just alone. A mansion, a house become valuable only because you have people there that you can enjoy with. Then it become valuable. So as Prabhupada was explaining, both sides is all, but all have to do with sense enjoyment. That what's the purpose of all this fighting? And everyone is going to die. And when we get the kingdom, you cannot enjoy it with everybody. So what's the value? Or by getting the kingdom, by not killing anyone, and everyone is there, we have the kingdom, then we can have enjoyment with everybody else. So in both sides, it's all on the basis of sense gratification. So the Lord is going to be pointing out what is beyond sense gratification, what is beyond that. How you can perform your activities and at the same time giving up the spirit of detachment. This is called Niskam Karma Yoga. Niskam Karma. Niskam Karma, detachment, which means desireless action. Niskam, desireless action. Now, when the yoga is attached to it, because yoga means in union with the Supreme God, because yoga simply means to be in touch with God. That's actually the meaning of yoga. Yoga means in union. So when the yoga is attached to it, which means you are performing niskam activities, but the result is meant to please the Supreme Lord. So continue the purport. He's saying Arjuna has already accepted Krishna as his spiritual master by surrendering himself unto him. Sishasteham sadimantum prapanam. Consequently, Krishna will now tell him about the working about the working process in Buddha yoga or karma yoga. In other words, the practice of devotional service only for the sense gratification of the Lord. This Buddha yoga is clearly explained in chapter 10, verse 10, where Krishna says, Dadami Buddha yogantam, yenamapayantite, has been direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. But such communion does not take place without devotional service. One who is therefore situated in devotional or transcendental loving service to the Lord, in other words, in Krishna consciousness, attains to this stage of Buddha yoga by the special grace of the Lord. The Lord says, therefore, that only to those who are always engaged in devotional service out of transcendental love does he award the pure knowledge of devotion in love. In that way, the devotee can reach him easily in the ever blissful kingdom of God. So this process of devotional service is explained between chapter 7 till chapter 12 of the Bhagavad-Gita, the process of bhakti-yoga. So, because Arjuna accepted Krishna as his guru, as the spiritual master, she says to him, Sadhumantam Prapanam. So now Krishna being the Jaga Guru, like we chant Krishna Bande Jaga Guru, and that Krishna is the spiritual master of the whole world. Actually, this verse was composed by Sankaracharya. Vasudevam Sutandevam Kam Sachanaramadhanam Devaki Paramananda Krishna Bande Jaga Guru. This is one of the Krishnastakam prayer by Sri Sankaracharya, who composed this verse. Very beautiful verse. Actually, Sankaracharya it's not that it's a Mayavadi. Sankaracharya is actually who is incarnation of Lord Shiva. He's a bhakta, is a devotee, but for the purpose, because the Lord gave a particular order to Lord Shiva to go and bewilder the atheist. So part of his mission was to teach Mayavad philosophy. But initially, he was teaching Bhakti initially. So you find many of his composition was all about the Krishna. So many prayers, stanzas that he composed. Even though he gave vast teaching to the Mayavad, and of course part of his teaching was Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam Mudamante. That all you fools, you should worship Govinda. And when Sankaracharya's mother, when she was passing away, because Sankaracharya had very vast knowledge. He had written so many Bhashya, many scriptures and scholarly. Nobody could ever defeat him in knowledge. So when when his mother was passing away, then he went to his mother, and then his mother asked him that you tell me some of your compositions. You recite to me some of your compositions. And then Sankaracharya then started his explanations of the Vedanta Sutra, which is all based on the Mayavad and all that. So the mother said, no, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Tell me something much better. Tell me something about Krishna. And then he started explaining Krishna ISKCON, many poems which he had composed in the glorification of Krishna. And then the mother was very, very happy. And then she left her body. She passed away, hearing about the glories of Lord Sri Krishna. So here, Prabhupada is mentioning the atheists, how we try to explain the material nature. Prabhupada has explained the atheist Kapila. There's another Kapila who is actually very atheistical. And that Kapila, I think it came maybe 1,000 years ago or something, who tried to explain the Vedic, the Sankhya scripture in a very atheistic way. But the real Kapila, which is Lokapila, and Lokapila, who is an incarnation of the Lord Himself, the son of Mother Devotee. So the explanation is there, which he gave in his instruction in the 8 chapters. And as a matter of fact, Srila Prabhupada gave so many lectures on these 8 chapters, from chapter 24 to 32 of the 3rd canto. And these lectures were put on a book, The Teachings of Lord Kapila. We have a separate book of Prabhupada. So I hope you can read that book. We have the Teachings of Lord Kapila. There's a Teachings of Koyakunti. This all special lectures that Prabhupada gave. And those lectures were put into a separate book. So then Prabhupada continue. So now Prabhupada is talking of Buddha Yoga here. Buddha Yoga, which means the attainment of the Lord's special grace. Thus, the Buddha Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord. Because in this verse mentioned, it's Buddha Yogto Ya Parta. Buddha means Buddha Yoga. It's a yoga that frees one from the bondage of material existence. So Prabhupada is saying here that This Buddha Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord, and the word Sankhya mentioned herein has nothing to do with the atheistic Sankhya Yoga enunciated by the impostor Kapila. One should not therefore misunderstand that the Sankhya Yoga mentioned herein has any connection with the atheistic Sankhya. So again, Prabhupada it's again repeating the same thing again and again. The difference between this atheistic Kapila, and the real Kapila, the Lord Kapila, who is avatar. Not did that philosophy have any influence during that time, nor will Lord Krishna care to mention such godless philosophical speculations. Real Sankhya philosophy is described by Lord Kapila in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but even that Sankhya has nothing to do with the current topics. Here, Sankhya means analytical description of the body and the soul. Lord Krishna made an analytical description of the soul just to bring Arjuna to the point of Buddha Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Lord Krishna's Sankhya and Lord Kapila's Sankhya, as described in the Bhagavatam, are one and the same. They are all Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna said, therefore, that only the less intelligent class of men make a distinction between Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Sankhya Yoga tu Pita Bala Prabhadanti na Panditaha. Of course, atheistic Sankhya Yoga has nothing to do with Bhakti Yoga, yet the unintelligent claim that the atheistic Sankhya Yoga is referred to in the Bhagavad-Gita. So, which means the atheists, especially all the impersonalists, they will always make their own particular interpretation. One should therefore understand that Buddha Yoga means to walk in Krishna consciousness, in the full bliss and knowledge of devotional service. One who works for the satisfaction of the Lord only, however difficult such work may be, is working under the principles of Buddha Yoga and finds himself always in transcendental bliss. By such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically by the grace of the Lord, and thus his liberation is complete in itself without his making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. There is much difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive results, especially in the matter of sense gratification for achieving results in terms of family or material happiness. Buddha Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of the work that we perform, the transcendental quality of the work we perform. So how do we come to Buddha Yoga? We come to Buddha Yoga, so we have to pass that. So that difference has to be there. Because since devotional service in Krishna consciousness, devotional service is done on the spiritual platform. It's not done on the material platform. So therefore, one has to understand this difference that yes, the Gita said, you are not this body, you are a spirit soul. The bodies have particular characteristics, but the spirit soul has a different set of characteristics. When one is in material consciousness, one simply think in terms of sense gratification, how to be happy, how to live merrily, and all that. That's simply one's consciousness. But whereas when one is in spiritual consciousness or in Krishna consciousness, one simply thinking of how to give enjoyment to Krishna, how to give happiness to God, or how to live in harmony with the Supreme Lord through the engagement in the loving devotional service. So one has to totally rise above the bodily consideration that I am not this material body, I'm a spirit soul who is eternal servant of Krishna. Jiva Swarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. Jiva Swarup, what is the Swarup? Original identity of the soul, of the Jiva. Nitya Krishna Das, not Maya Das. Spiritual consciousness, you know that you are Krishna Das, but in material consciousness, you know that you are Maya Das. You are serving Maya. And when you are serving Maya, you are filled with threefold miseries. Tapatraya, the problem, misery coming, given to you by other living entities. Misery is given to you by your own mind, or the misery is given to you by nature. That is the characteristic of the material world, material environment. Whereas in spiritual consciousness, it's different. It's called Anandamayo. Anandamayo means consciousness, just blaze all the time. Everything's eternal, full of knowledge and full of happiness. So that is the life of Krishna consciousness, and that is what Bhagavad-Gita is teaching us: how to come out of material consciousness and come into spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Okay. So this philosophy has to be repeated again and again, just for us to understand. In this purport, here, very long purport, we find that Prabhupada is repeating the same thing again and again and again. A lot of repetitions that Prabhupada put in this purport. But why? Why is it repeating this? Because our consciousness is very dull. Because we have dull consciousness. So which means has to again drilling into our brain again and again and again, so that we can come to the awareness. Because we have material consciousness, which is very dull because of having been in this material world for a long time, for millions and billions, so many kalpas, for a long time being in the material world. Just see how you can imagine how dull our consciousness is. So this repetition is very, very necessary, just again to awaken us. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. If there's any question or any points. In the Hindi class, the room is full. English is always few people. That's okay. Consider 40, Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.